I'm Myke Shrews.
And I'm Tivis.
And you're listening to
The Munster Cast.
Episode 73. Yeah. Welcome back, everybody, to the Munster Cast, the podcast where we watch and talk about the Munsters. I'm, of course, your host, Myke Shrews, here with my co-host and friend, Tivis. So, Tivis? Please tell everybody out there, how you doing, man?
Well, in the 4 days that it's been since we last spoke, it's actually a lot better.
Awesome.
Or at least looking better. I shouldn't say it hasn't gotten better.
Awesome. And everybody who is listening, I just want to formally apologize if I was not very energetic last week. I was just out of the loop, tired and everything else. And then now my kids are back in school and we're waking up even more early, and I still refuse to go to bed earlier than we used to. So I'm just like, yeah. Always fun, guys. All right, so real quick, let's do this dirty business, shall we? You can find the Munster Cast on all social media platforms. That is Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter, all via the Munster Cast. You can also swing on over to YouTube and see our pretty ugly faces. Wow, I can't even talk today. Over at youtube.com/@TheMunsterCast. Then you can also swing on over to the MunsterCast.com website and check out all of our fancy fun stuff over there. You can also, what we have over there, we have everything that we do is over on the website. Just check it out, guys. And then there's also a little microphone icon on the right-hand side of the page, I believe it is still, unless it has moved for some reason, that you can click and leave us a voicemail, which can get played onto the episode. Probably one of the fastest ways to get your voice heard on an episode of the Munster Cast is by clicking that icon, or even as we've had before in the past, messaging us like on Instagram with voice messages and things like that. So it's pretty cool when people do that stuff. When you're at the website, you can also click the swag or merch tab. I forget what it's called, or you can just go over to themunstercast.com/merch and check out our t-shirt area over there. All these shirts have been made specifically for you guys, Munster fans out there. Not all of them have our logo on them. Don't worry. It's not just a bunch of free, billboard walking t-shirts. But you can also get this awesome MunsterCast Lily shirt that we have up there now. That I am wearing today. So definitely check those guys out.
It's just a store.
It's just store?
It's just store.
Okay. On the website. All right. Mm-hmm. Then you guys can also, if you want to get a hold of us, reach out to us via email at themunstercast@outlook.com. There you can message us on anything Munsters related. Let us know about your fandom. Let us know your Munster stories. If you want to send us fanfic, we'd be happy to read some of that. You can send us that stuff too on any of the social media messengers as well. Email is just a lot easier to manage, I guess, when a lot of those start coming on in. So definitely do that. Again, that's the MunsterCast@outlook.com, and then just let us know anything Munsters related, whether you want to come on the show, whether you want to just tell your story, anything like that, guys.
And also on our website, in the opposite corner of the microphone, we have a donate button where you can donate to us directly, or if you prefer, you can sign up for our Patreon, which we are treating as like a tip jar, much like the donate button. If you join Lester's next big investment, you gain access to our Discord, of course, where, Myke has continued to post the episodes, right?
Sure.
Sure. Okay. So a bit behind on there, but, hoping to grow a community where everyone can feel inclusive. But more importantly, you can help us out by leaving a review on your podcatcher of choice. They allow you, stars, comments, YouTube, leave a comment there on our socials when we post. Let us know how we're doing, what you like, what you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure to tell a friend. Getting more people listening will help us grow
Substantially.
and get better.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to watch along, Myke has made a link to the archives for Munsters Today with us. And that is at, Myke, say your mouthful.
TheMunsterCast.com/watch the Munsters today. That is TheMunsterCast.com/watch the Munsters today.
And that is a mouthful. And for conventions meetups this week, Butch Patrick is going to be at Dead Man's Curve on August 31st.
Oh, cool.
And that's at the Sherrington Crossroads Hotel, located at 1 International Boulevard, 17 North at Mahwah, New Jersey. So if you're in that area, you can go see him between 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then after that, he's heading over to Rock Fantasy Concert and Smoke Shop. And he'll be there same day, August 31st, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And they had some pinball machines set up for you to go play. There's looks like a bunch of stuff they have for people to enjoy while they're there. You can challenge Butch to a game of bowling at 8:30 p.m. All right, that sounds fun. And that's also in Jersey. It's in Middletown.
It's also very appropriate for today's episode too, that you get to challenge Butch Patrick to bowling.
Yes, it is. That's very convenient. So yeah, just a couple of meetups. Again, not sponsored in any way, just fun stuff we want the community to go out and enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. Also, real quick, because we always forget to do it at the top of the show, guys. You can also go over to Tubi and watch Marineland Carnival if you have not done so. I would love to know people who have never seen this and they finally watch it, what your views are on it, what you think about it and everything, because we did a whole episode on the Marineland Carnival box set, DVD box set, which you can still buy as well. So definitely go over the Tubi, check that out. Again, not a sponsor. We don't do that stuff, but it is also.
However, if you want to sponsor us, we won't say no.
Yes, if you do want to do a sponsorship, contact us, reach out to us if you have a cool product that might be of interest to us and to our listeners out there as well. We have been looking into it. There's quite a few that are on the books potentially, so definitely reach out to us, guys, if you want to. I would love to help small businesses out, small companies, even a little bit bigger corporations and stuff too. I just don't want to do like, here, buy the razor to shave your balls with it type ads. We don't want to do any of those. Or take this pill to have sex longer. I don't care for any of that crap on here. Can you tell what ads are on my podcast I listen to? Thank you, Kevin Smith. Thank you. I know more about the world than I should now. All right, so this week.
What are we talking about, Myke?
Today on this episode of the Munster Cast, we are talking about Don't Cry Wolfman, which aired May 20th, 1989. On this episode of the Munsters Today, I was about to say the Munster Cast. On this episode of the Munsters Today, two guys who broke out of prison. I'm not sure. Did they break out or did they get out?
It's unclear.
Yeah, so two men come back to the Munsters' house 10 years later, where they apparently hid something that they really, really want. But the Munsters are home. What will they do? Will chaos ensue? Who knows? Let's find out on this episode of The Munsters Today. Don't Cry Wolfman.
Yeah, Don't Cry Wolfman. Season 1, episode 23.
Can I tell you something?
What?
This episode was outrageous.
I think I have my numbering off here because Don't Cry Wolfman should be episode 22.
Yes, it is 22.
What happened there?
Bad note taking.
Yeah,
You
apparently.
see how Tivis just like disregarded my stupidity by bringing up his stupidity.
Which means I was wrong last week, too. Somewhere along the way, I got messed up. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
We are watching the right episodes. That's all that
Yes,
matters.
we are. I just have them listed right. Episode 22, episode 92 overall, this time for real. Aired Saturday, May 20th, 1989. Written by Lloyd J. Swartz.
Yeah.
Who did the a Little Russian Dressing and the pilot, which you can watch on our YouTube. Directed by, of all people, Peter Isaacson, who we just saw last week as Gil.
Nice.
The guest cast this week, we have Jerry Hoser as Fingers Fearman and Wolfgang. Now, Jerry, I was just going through his stuff right now. He's got 106 projects to his name as an actor, one producing role. So let's see. Going through, he started in 1971 as his first credit here.
Okay.
He was on an episode of MASH. Brady Girls Get Married, the TV movie. He's in that.
Brady Girls Get Married. Was that literally like the name of the movie, the TV movie?
Yep. And then the Brady Brides. He's in that. So again, we got large Brady connections with this show. We just can't get away from it. He was an episode of Chips.
My only question with those titles is why?
But why not? Oh, he did additional voices for Super Friends. That's cool.
Awesome.
He was Junkyard in Transformers. He was on an episode of Matlock. Hey, there's our Daniel Roebuck connection.
Dude, I've been watching so much Matlock lately. It's crazy. On Pluto TV, they have I was watching Godzilla the other day because I've been watching a lot of old Godzilla on Pluto. I'm sorry, this is off track, but I was watching a lot of old Godzilla, and then I was like, you know what? I want a little break from Godzilla. So I changed the channel like one way or the other. I don't remember what button I hit. And then there was just like a whole channel dedicated to Matlock. So I've been watching Matlock for like the last 4 days. And it sucks too because they don't put the episodes in order. So like you'll get one storyline set up, and then a whole nother storyline will start the next episode that they air. I'm like, guys, put them in order at least. Come on.
Yeah.
So annoying. Anyways, that's my Matlock story.
He apparently took his movie character from the Brady movies and brought it on 4 episodes of the 90s The Brady Show. And last thing he did was Danger Rangers, which was between 2003 and 2006. But he was part of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance voicing Hank Pym. So anyone who's played that's one of the best Marvel games ever made, honestly. And then the next guest we have is Kip King as Bert Fearman. The Fearman Bros. His career, let's see, the first one he has listed, credited towards was in 1955. So, he's been doing stuff for a long, long time. Just checking out his style. He was an episode of the Beverly Hillbillies. Always got to give that show a shout out. He was on Batman, Bill Cosby Show, Little Rascals. I forgot that had a TV show.
Like an animated or no, the original. Yeah. Oh, doorbell.
Yeah, my mother-in-law's here. Wow. Okay, he was Taylor Smurf and Tracker Smurf in the Smurfs.
The milkman, sir. About to have a milkman baby in that house. Anyways, guys.
Look at he was in Corky Romano.
Who are you talking about? I'm sorry, I got lost in my own thoughts.
Kip King.
Kip King, gotcha. What a
Yep,
great name, by the way. Like, that's an
it is.
awesome. Is that his birth name? Let's see here.
Oh, he was the Falconer in Reno 911. Short-lived, but great. Yeah, the last thing he has credit is Scout Honor in 2009. He
Oh,
was
his
apparently in the Babylon 5 third space movie.
his birth name is not as cool as his stage name.
That's usually how it goes.
His name is Jerome Charles Catan.
And I'm also going to shout out in 1960, he wrote an episode of the Betty Hooten show. Hooten?
Houghton.
Hooten? I don't know.
Was he in Batman?
Yeah, I said that.
Okay. Oh, wait, he was in. What was he in? I literally just watched this movie that he's in last night, like till midnight. Meet the Fockers. He was additional crew on it.
Awesome.
How old is he?
I mean, his first credit is in 55, so.
He died in 2010.
Oh,
in
rest
Los
in peace,
Angeles.
Kip. Jerry's still with us, as far as I know. And the last guest we have on this episode, returning, the great Richard Stephen Horowitz as Howie.
You mean the first time he's been actually credited for an episode we've watched, right?
I don't know if it's the first, but it's definitely one of the few he gets credit for.
Yeah.
And that's all I guess.
Awesome. All right, man. And of course, everybody, we don't really need to go more into Richard Stephen again because
no. And as always, we encourage everyone to go check out these people's careers on IMDb or Wikipedia or whatever you prefer, database that lists what they do, because it's always fascinating to check out these actors and see what else they've been. And like the fact that he's in Corky Romano, that makes me want to go watch that movie again. So it's such a good.
I just saw a picture of Jerry from MASH.
Mm-hmm.
I know who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, all right. So let's jump on.
We watch too much old shit.
We do, but hey, it's good.
I was sitting there watching Matlock, and the one character from the Chuck Norris show, his like sidekick in that is like
Walker Texas Ranger.
Yeah, Walker Texas Ranger. His sidekick in there, or partner, or whatever the heck you want to call it, sidekick, is in Matlock as well. And I never remembered that until I started watching it. I was like, oh damn, he's young here. This is like pre like Chuck Norris days. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyways, sorry, I've been watching more Matlock than anything.
That's kind of why I'm hesitant to check out the Stargate channel on Pluto, because it's rare. The only one that I've seen that actually airs things in order, because you kind of have to, is Doctor Who, and that's because those stories are all like 8 episodes a piece. And if you air them out of order, it screws it up.
The first Star Trek channel does. It airs them out in order. And then there's another Star Trek channel has, well, chronologically.
Okay. Because they did air them out of order.
So they have a Star Trek channel that is all the original series, and then they have another Star Trek channel that's Star Trek More, which is like everything else. So
these free TV apps, he's like Tubi, Pluto, and there's a third one that I have. Like, honestly, people, check them out. They're worth it.
Even if you watch commercials, who cares? So we used to watch TV,
and the commercials are short.
People have forgotten
compared to normal TV.
That's why I refuse. Like, my kid watches anime through Hulu, and we don't pay for it, so we have ads on it because it's through like our phone company or some shit. I don't even remember who it's from, but we don't pay for it, so we have ads, and I refuse to pay to not have the ads because I'm like, we had ads when I was a kid. You have to suffer too, little man.
See, I pay for the ad free because it's like what, $3 more, and I pay for the damn thing anyway. Oh,
but I don't pay for it at all.
Yeah, I know. I get but YouTube, however, I'll sit through the freaking ads. I don't care. 30 seconds.
Same thing with Peacock. We get Peacock for free through our cable company. So yeah, Hulu must come from our phone company. Yeah.
How do you get all this stuff for free? We're getting way off topic. Let's dive into this episode.
You have to look into your stuff to see what they offer for free and shit, dude. For real.
So we open with two men wanting to get into the Munster house to get their money that they left there 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
Fingers is the taller one. Whips out a credit card to unlock the door, and Bert, the shorter of the two, asks when he got a credit card when they've been locked up for the past 10 years. Well, it's not mine. That's how. So
Hence
these
the name
two
Fingers.
these two immediately remind me of the Wet Bandits. Just
I was thinking, yeah. Yeah. Just not as much of a dicks.
No. Well, one of them is.
Yeah.
So inside, Grandpa and Eddie are sitting in the living room playing a game. As the door opens, Eddie howls and the two men slam the door closed again. Bert is pissed. Fingers told him the weirdos were gone. Well, I forgot about the little weirdo with the pointy ears and the old weirdo with the pointy teeth. All right, time for plan B. But Fingers absolutely does not want to wear the costume that comes with plan B.
He says, absolutely not. All right,
No.
then let's play heads or tails for it. Let's flip a coin for it.
So it yeah, go ahead.
What's his
Bert.
Yeah. Fingers is easy to remember. Bert isn't. So at least they didn't go Bert and
I had to go back and correct my notes when I was nearly done with the whole episode because I was calling him by the actor's name Jerry the entire time.
So Bert flips a coin, drops it purposefully, mind you, and picks it up and like he's like, "Well, I pick heads," and then puts it on his hand just like that. And the other guy is like as dumb as bricks. Like you said, like the Wet Bandits is literally what it is. Like it predates it a little bit, right?
Yeah. I think the first Home Alone is 90, so we're a year away.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the guy's like, "Well, you got to go do it."
How do you always win this?
Yeah, 1990 is Home Alone, the first one. Oh, he always wins, and then the Bird's just got this big old glare, like smile on his face, like, "Yep." That's kind of like what he's doing. Oh crap!
Yeah, so inside we see that the game that Eddie and Grandpa are playing is Scramble.
Scrabble.
A game that is my absolute worst because I suck at spelling.
It's Scrabble.
Scrabble. That's it. Scramble. You got to scramble.
Scramble the eggs. We got to scrabble the eggs now.
Grandpa just gets 27 points for plasma, but Eddie counters with 83 points from cadaver. Eddie ends up with 413, and Grandpa just says it's time for bed, and then he's like, "No, it's not." Grandpa just like messes up the board, and he's like, "Now it is."
Sore loser, Grandpa. Sore loser, man. Yeah, and that's when he's like, "All right, so, he's talking about brushing his teeth."
Yeah, he's like, brush your fangs. And Eddie like bears them at him, and Grandpa's proud, and I do not know whether he brushed them or not.
There's a little bit of human remains left on those fangs.
Yeah,
Grandpa's like fascinated and happy. Oh wait, this is in 1313.
Last episode we talked about how it didn't seem like Grandpa and Eddie had as closeness as they used to in the old show. And I feel like we kind of see that a little bit in this moment here.
You get kind of like, well, Eddie is growing too. He's aging. So as you're growing up, you kind of unfortunately distance a little bit just because you're like, I'm cool. I'm a cool kid, bro. Like I don't need this. Yeah.
I mean, and I guess last episode he did try to help Eddie with his telekinesis too by, cheating, but
that's not helping a kid.
No, it's not. It is in his mind, but so at that moment, Lily and Herman come back home.
So is it the thought that counts? Anyways. Yeah. So they come back home and they got their bowling bags with them. It's
I didn't catch that. So I'm like, oh, okay, they were out doing stuff. And then
Grandpa
Eddie's like,
literally says that they were bowling.
did he?
Yeah.
I missed that line.
Oy. I'm gonna send you a closed caption version.
Yeah, honestly, I might need it. Yeah, so yeah, Eddie's like, well, how was your trip?
I
And
know a guy who does that for a living right now, so I could hit him up and ask him.
it wouldn't be
He's
a
been
bad
on the
idea.
show.
Mosier?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Bigfoot Studios, yeah.
No, for the other company he works for too.
Oh, the other company? Okay.
I don't remember what it's called. I'm sorry, Mosier, if you're listening. I don't remember what your company's called to shout it out. But anyways, let's
No relation to
dive on
Bob
into
Mosier.
this. We don't
Yeah.
know that.
I thought he said so, but all right.
He
Lily
said he doesn't know.
Herman's like, yeah, 10 consecutive wins. And Lily's like, no, 10 consecutive forfeits. But Herman's like, hey, they know good bowlers when they see them. All right.
Yeah.
So Lily's like, hey, Eddie, did you finish your homework? And he like rushes over to get his family tree diorama, which is something I never had to do in school.
Well, my question is, this family tree has little skulls hanging on it. Are these actually family members' shrunken skulls on the tree?
I was wondering the same thing.
like that was my big, like, I capitalized that note. I was like, is this actually the family skulls?
Did you ever have to create a family tree in school?
Not like a 3D family
No, it
tree
was
or
just
diorama. It was just a stupid paper.
See, I
And
never had to do that, but also I changed school so many times I missed quite a few things.
I
So.
think it was probably back in like second or third grade, probably.
Oh.
You had to do some shit like that. Nowadays, I don't think they do that because they don't care. You know, your family's not your family unless they're good to you. Nowadays, is what people say.
Oh, I mean, we'll see that in this. So the doorbell rings, and I forgot his name. Fingers comes in wearing a werewolf mask that is pretty similar to one that Lester wore in the classic show. Honestly,
What are you talking
a
about?
little bit cheaper, but
What are you talking about?
the mask Fingers was wearing.
But what about Lester?
That's what I said, Lester.
But what about Lester's? He's not wearing a mask. It's his face.
All right. So he walks in and he's like, hey, it's my long lost cousins. And he's like, it's well, yada yada yada. He's like mixing up some of their names, and Herman like corrects him. He goes, oh yeah, I know it's you. Don't you know it's me? And Herman says, well, of course it's you, but who are you?
They do
that was great.
They did some pretty good. He did some pretty good research though on the family. I will say that, like,
yeah, he had like a little post-it note on his hand he was reading from.
And they're like, well, who are you? Well, I'm cousin Wolfgang. And the way he hits himself and stuff like that, I swear these are the same mannerisms that Lester uses in Rob Zombie's film.
He did. Yeah.
Exact same.
Mm-hmm.
And almost like the outfit and everything, like his whole mannerism throughout this episode when he has the mask on is just like bam, like Rob Zombie's Lester.
Yeah,
so I found that to be really cool. And again, like, yeah, he's got the mask that looks a little like Lester from the original, and then of wearing
a little bit cheaper,
suit.
but very similar.
Yeah. So
so he's like, yeah, I'm cousin Wolfgang, and the family like take a step closer to get a better look at him. No, we don't know you. And they're like, hang on, family powwow. So they all like group together to have an aside.
Yeah.
Come back. Take a step forward. He's like, well, you recognize me now? No. Well, that's because I'm a long lost cousin.
Yeah.
They're Herman's like, well,
go on.
Well, Herman's like, I don't even remember cousin Wolfgang. He's like, that's because I'm Lily's cousin. And this like jogs something in Lily's mind. Like, didn't Aunt Letitia have a kid? Turning to Grandpa, he's like, what was his name? And Fingers is like, Wolfgang. excuse me. That's what my mom told me to say when I got here. And Lily's like, but isn't she dead? Now, Lily, when has that ever stopped anyone in your family? But it doesn't matter because those were actually Aunt Letitia's last words.
Yeah.
He then asks, checks notes, where Carolyn is. And Lily's like, you mean Marilyn? She's out visiting friends. So in other words, Hillary had the week off.
She had to catch up on real schoolwork.
Yeah. Wolfgang says, good. One less to worry about. Pardon? Nothing. So Grandpa then's like, well, how are things in the old country? Well, the same, but older. This confuses Grandpa because he's like, well, I guess it's not technically wrong, but Lily is still weary as they don't just invite anyone into their house, which that
Bullshit.
is definitely a modern spin compared to the 60s version where anyone and everyone just walked into their house because they didn't even lock the door.
They let people in their house all the time, though, just in the last 21 episodes we've seen.
Well, they let Marilyn's boyfriend's parents and Howie into their house. We haven't seen very many guests.
They literally had an Airbnb going on at their house.
Oh, that's true. They did, yeah. And also the cereal people.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give it to you.
Strangers in all the time.
Mm-hmm. But I just thought that's a pretty modern take because in the 60s people just wandered into their house, especially children, all the time. Whereas nowadays, lock your door, people. It's messed up out there. Don't trust your neighbors.
It was always messed up. It was always messed up. There's just more outlets for people to hear about it, and more people are finally getting caught because there's so much surveillance around the world nowadays. That's all it is. The shit's been happening for decades. Look at the 70s. How many kids went missing that they still never found? They're probably buried in your grandpa's basement.
That wouldn't shock me. I don't have high opinions of him. So, speaking of Grandpa, he's like, yeah, how do we know you're not a sheep in wolf's clothing? Well, it's like, look, I understand. It's like Mama always says, or Mama always used to say, and the entire Munster family then in unison goes, don't judge a coffin by its cover. And he's, yeah, that's right. Yeah, this dude, he's real quick on the pickup. Like his improv is just perfect.
It's very, I mean, that's what con artists do. Like, they have to adapt really fast. So
yeah, all right, yeah. So yeah, everyone in the family knows that. Herman now runs over.
Look at me. I'm acting like I actually watched this episode. I didn't watch this episode. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sometimes I think I could make a bunch of shit up and see if I can get away with it.
No, I watched it all the time.
Yeah, you watch it more than I do, so. And for those wondering, that is the sound of popcorn that Myke is eating. No.
Those are your American M&Ms.
America.
Red, white, and blue. America.
Yeah.
Yum, yum.
Yeah, Herman rushes over to hug the poor son of a bitch, and thankfully, Wolfgang dodges out of the way just in time. He's like, oh, I forgot. Oh, no, wait, this is me. I forgot they just got back from the tournament because it says Munster on Herman's back as a sign.
Yeah, Munster Mob.
Yeah.
That's their bowling team name.
Mm-hmm. And Herman's like, why don't you stay with us? And Wolfgang's like, no, I can't. I just need to grab some stuff. And Herman's like, well, too bad. We decided you're staying. And then pats him on the shoulder, sending him onto the couch. And that is the end of that very long scene.
Then we get a scene where he's like running through with his freaking a nightgown.
Yeah, he's wearing a nightgown and a plaid jacket over top of it.
Where did this nightgown come from? It looks like nothing anybody in this house has ever worn.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Unless Grandpa has like victims' clothes somewhere.
Yeah.
which again, bodies in Grandpa's basement.
Well, I remember they used to have people buried all around that place. Yeah. Yeah, so he runs over to the clock next to the mantelpiece and starts messing with it. At that moment, the phone rings and he answers it very unhappy. It's 7 a.m., Bert. This better be you. And thankfully, it is.
Right. And what if he wouldn't have answered the phone?
Yeah. They're like, what are you doing? You're going to wake the whole house up. Let me do this. But he's like, did you get the money yet? And Figure's like, no, this is the dumbest idea you've ever had, or you've had since you wrote up that that stick-up note on the back of my driver's license, which I can only assume is how they got caught 10 years ago. And honestly, that is an extremely stupid way to get caught. And I listen to this morning radio show out of Detroit, and they air in a bunch of other cities, including a couple in Florida where Myke is. And they have a segment called Idiot Criminal of the Day. And the stuff I hear on there, hearing him write this note on the back of a driver's license doesn't even rank the highest thing that people have done. Yeah.
Now, yeah, I can't even defend Florida.
Well, they're not always from Florida, so. But Bert brings up, well, who got you out of the family business in the first place? And I'm like, what? Okay, what is this sentence? What is the family business? What did they used to do before that? Is stealing the family business? Are they no longer stealing? What?
No, it comes up later.
Yeah, it does come up later, but that sentence right now was confusing. And it's actually even more confusing later.
Yeah.
I mean, we could bring it up now. They mentioned that their mom was also in the bank robbing business. So what does it mean? I got you out of the family business. They both went to jail for robbing, presumably.
Maybe in the business of getting caught.
Yeah, I'm hoping I misheard, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But Lily comes down, or I'm sorry, Bert hangs up and Lily comes down. So Wolfgang starts pretending to be speaking to the family. He's like, oh, yeah, I found them. They're real nice. All right, talk to you later. Hang up.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Wolfgang, throughout this whole time until in a little bit, he's actually seems like he's not showing any fear towards this family whatsoever.
Tiny bit, but not as much as
or any disdain.
Do.
It's not until later.
No disdain.
There's no disdain for them or anything like that. So
they're just a bunch of weirdos. They're not, bad people.
Yeah. And he doesn't really fear them like when you see other people see them. Even in this episode, other people see them and they're like cowering later. So
yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah, Lily's like, well, did you sleep good? And Wolfgang, not missing a beat, goes like a cub. This guy, he knows how to work it. She's like, well, do you want to help me come make breakfast? He's like, yeah, sure. So she starts heading toward the kitchen, and he goes back to the clock by the mantle, and she's like, are you coming? He's like, yeah, sure. He runs off to help her.
Yeah.
So they're in the kitchen, and she's like, this old stove here, I have trouble lighting it. He's like, I got this. By the way, this entire scene, he's pocketing anything he can get his hands on.
Yeah.
So he comes over. What is this thing he used? Some kind of like a stick of flash powder or something?
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like a fuse almost that goes down into where the gas is at. I think that's what it is.
Why does he have a fuse? All right, so yeah, he sticks down in there.
Probably stole it from somewhere.
Probably. Lit it, lights it, and it starts the stove up. And she's like, wow, it hasn't worked this well since the Chicago fire. What does that mean, Lily? Did you get it from Chicago? Anyway, he goes to help her set the table, and he like sticks his hand back into the kitchen to grab one more thing. And I can't tell if this was great improv or planned, because the door like slams shut on his hand and he can't get the item through.
Yeah.
So he just drops it.
So then they go and set the table as she's pulling the plates out. Every place is getting a giant cleaver.
And an ice pick.
Oh.
What is it? Ice picks on the left, cleavers on the right.
Yeah.
Uh,
What house has that many cleavers that are that big?
Unless I mean, if they use them as regular utensils, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
So he's like, hey, I stopped by 10 years ago, but no one was home. And she's like, oh, we were home. We were just asleep since 1966.
Wow, you guys sure do know how to take a nap or hibernate.
And I'm glad that they brought up that they were asleep again, because there was a few episodes back where Grandpa mentions doing something during that time that they were asleep, and it didn't make sense.
What do you mean?
There was, what is it? I think Herman or something got a coupon, and someone mentions that, oh yeah, you know, I had one of those like 20 years ago. I'm like, but you were asleep for like
20. They were asleep for 22 years. 22 years.
I don't know. I remember there was something that came up that it didn't make sense continuity wise, but it was a while. If any of our listeners remember, let me know.
But also you got to remember, he's still in the mindset that it would be 20 years ago. So maybe he was just thinking,
I believe it was Herman that brought it up, so it very well likely could be that.
So it could have been like he meant the 40s. He got it in the 40s. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Lily leaves the room and he like runs over to the mantel one last time before being interrupted by Herman this time, who likes Wolfgang's nightgown.
Yeah.
He's like, Herman's like, oh, smells great in here. I think she's making blood sausages and head cheese omelets. And Wolfgang's like, blood sausage and head cheese omelet. Great. He's a trooper. He's gonna sit through it.
Yeah. And then the first time he shows some being scared, he's back up.
I don't know if this is scared or just like
he freaked out for a sec. But he hits into the coffin.
Oh, yeah, okay. So now we're like later in the day or another day or something. He's in Grandpa's lab.
Yeah, and that's what it is.
Starts pocketing stuff from around the place, and he finds Grandpa's coffin where Grandpa is apparently still sleeping. So maybe it was just like a little bit after that. Grandpa didn't get up for breakfast.
Yeah.
So he opens it up and sees the bat, who then turns into Grandpa. And he's like, how did you do that? He goes, how'd I do what? Go from a bat to a man. Grandpa just laughs it off, saying, look, sometimes you're a wolf, sometimes you're a man. Change is good for us. Yeah, sure. All right. So Wolfgang's like, well, what is this device over here? And Grandpa's just like, oh, so you're interested in stuff I'm doing? Well, let me show you.
Yeah.
He's like, it's part alarm clock, part prune juice dispenser. It gives you the up and go. I love this joke. He asks, Wolfgang's like, what about this? Yeah. He's like,
oh, it's Leonard.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this is no ordinary run-of-the-mill skeleton. So watch this. He picks up a lighter, lights it, and Leonard blows it out. He's like, huh. And I'm just thinking someone had to have put a curse on this guy before he died, right? And Grandpa's just holding his remains hostage.
Potentially.
So Grandpa's
trying
like,
to give him away.
Yeah, he's like, you want him? Like, in case you ever want that done again. Like what? Blowing out a match? No, thank you. Then he tries to leave and gets trapped in Grandpa's coffin for a second before running screaming out of the lab.
Yeah.
And that is that and the time Herman came to try to hug him are the only two times that I can think of where he actually showed a bit of fear in this house.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, Herman's coming to hug you. That's a natural fear. Yeah. So, oh, go ahead.
Are you going?
Oh, I thought you had more.
No.
All right. That night, Finger sneaks out the front to get some fresh air on their little patio out front, or what is stoop, whatever it's called.
Porch.
So he like lifts up the mask and he's like, Bert, you hiding out here? Cat's here. Hi.
Yeah, and then Bert shows up and he pops out and he's talking to him. He's like, all right, well, did you get it? Did you?
Yeah. Every time I go near the clock, someone comes around. Bert's like, well, I'm sorry I ever let you handle this. You're sorry. You don't have to hang around with this family and eat food that would eat you if you didn't eat it first. And Bert's like, nothing is ever good enough for you, is it? Mom was right about you. You don't have what it takes to rob banks. Which again goes back to that sentence that just didn't make sense earlier. And please don't scratch me. You're just okay. She's gonna lay in my lap, and now I'm gonna have to sit uncomfortably.
Good. Be uncomfortable.
I am. If she slides off, she's clawing the crap out of my leg.
Yeah, so they both get into it on the porch, and he's
Yeah.
all right,
Bert's
fine,
like,
whatever.
you should have been a doctor, and apparently this one cuts fingers deep.
And that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if the doctor thing was what, like, maybe their dad did,
Maybe, yeah,
and that's the family business he's trying to keep him from.
could be. I mean, it would make the rest of it make sense.
Right.
Girl, you are gonna fall. You know, he's like, after 2 days with these people, I'm going to need a doctor.
Yeah.
Bert says, well, go in there and get the money so you can leave already.
They make this very difficult.
Yeah, they do.
They seem to just make it very difficult.
I wish I could show you what's going on right now, because she's just laying in my lap like a damn baby. And I'm
I don't
propping
need
her
to.
up with my hands.
I don't need to see that, Tivis. Anyways, let's so then next day,
Okay,
or
down
next
you go.
hours or whatever. That was
Yeah.
loud.
Sorry.
Next few hours or something. Wolfgang is looking around inside.
Yeah, he seems to be alone finally, so he starts going for the money again.
And then who shows up?
Howie!
Howie!
Yay, Howie!
Ooh.
And he like walks up and knocks nervously. And Wolfgang begins yelling at him through the door.
Mhm.
Who is it? I'm Howie. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm outside the Munster house. It's real weird because it's like he has some kind of memory lapse due to his terror.
Yeah. And I wasn't sure if this was out of order or not either. So I was just like, I don't know. Because of the way
Every time Howie shows
reacts.
up, he's nervous at first, and then he calms down after he's inside. And he's like, I came to return a book on dog training that Marilyn gave him. And did you get a good look at that book?
No, I didn't.
It had a chunk bitten out of it. It kind of reminds me of, this is terrible, and I don't condone this, but my dad had this they rescued a dog who was wandering around a parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very ill behaved. He got better as he aged, but when he was younger, he was real bad. Like, he chewed on everything. My dad bought a book that said Dog Training for Dummies. Didn't open it once. He just kind of rolled it up and
Yeah.
My dad's not a good dog person. Anyway, so Wolfgang says, Howie, all right, fine, come in. And he starts to open the door, but Howie like slams it shut, asking if he looks like Herman. He's like, the guy who walks like this. And I'm doing the motion, but because Wolfgang's on the other side of the door, and we have no idea if there's a peephole or not,
Right.
It has as much effect as it does to him as our audio no. He's like, well, what about Grandpa, the guy who thinks he could turn into a bat? And I thought for sure Wolfgang was like, no, but he can. But he just says no. He's like, and you're definitely not Lily, the woman who looks as sick now as she looked alive. Howie.
No, that was she said. He says that looks like she would be super sick if she was alive, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. He's like, no, I'm none of them. He's like, good, because they scare me. And he just walks in. Howie takes one look at Wolfgang, and Wolfgang's holding like an ice pick from dinner at him, like a shank.
Yeah.
And just takes off running. Lily, Herman, and Grandpa come in from the backyard to see what the noise is about. And Howie comes running back out and out the door. And she's like, I apologize for him. He's very troubled when he meets new people. Is it new people or just family members?
I think it's just family members, but to them, that's the only time Howie's around is when the family's there.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, Wolfgang, we just had a family powwow. I really love this term. I'm going to use it more. And decided something exciting for you. They want to give you the great honor as a member of the family to join our bowling team.
Yeah.
I was like, that's nice, but I would feel out of place. And at that sentence right there, for some reason in my head, I'm like, he's starting to take a liking to this family. And Herman says, even Howie will be there, pointing towards the door. Like, look, we scheduled it late tonight to avoid the full moon. How did you do that? Wouldn't it be early?
Maybe it's really late. I don't know.
Yeah. The one at the bowling alley closed though. So Wolfgang, he's stunned by all this. And it's really starting to come across that he's coming around after spending so much time with his family to liking them.
Yeah.
And honestly, the way that the family has been treating him with inclusion and wanting to be around him and talking to him, it is a very stark contrast to the scene we just got with his brother Bert, who seems to be a bit of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, his brother's not a fun guy.
No. And we'll get more of that in a second, where we cut to the bowling alley. And Howie is using a bowling ball much too heavy for himself and rolls it like a child just learning how to play bowling. The opposing team is horrified, by the way.
Just learning how to play bowling?
Yeah, you take it and you roll it between your legs down the... But Howie gets a strike that way, so I guess, whatever works for you. Grandpa goes next, then Lily and Herman, and all of them get strikes. Herman looks like he just throws it right at the pins. And good God, I'd be so mad if I was the owner of that place. Eddie's also there, by the way. He's the one keeping score, I guess, because Marilyn's busy. They don't have a babysitter. But we have a time skip later, and Lily tells us it's all down to Wolfgang. If he gets a strike, the Munsters win. If he doesn't, they do.
And the other people are the ones that are cowering from the family. Which, to me, I'm thinking, okay, the people are so scared of them at the bowling alley, but how do they know that these people aren't just like a themed bowling group? Like, they could literally just be dressed up. They don't know.
Mm-hmm.
They could just be a themed monster bowling group, and that's their theme,
If they're playing that well that they're keeping up with the people who just got like 5 strikes in a row, as nervous as they are, they have to be really good.
Yeah. I wonder if any bowling groups do themed things like that.
I would be surprised if they don't. I mean, it's got to be fun to change it up every now and then. Even if you enjoy doing something, it's still fun to change, do something different.
If you're in the bowling and you know the bowling leagues, because I definitely don't. I'm in the bowling. I like bowling, but I don't follow it religiously. If you know anybody that does things like that do like themed, like their dress is themed based on like their name or whatnot, I'd like to know. Let me know.
Yeah. When we took our trip to Columbus, we stopped at the bowling alley down there and played. And I'm like, man, I miss doing this. I need to get a group together so we could do this regularly. Maybe some of our coworkers that we like.
Yeah. Let's start a dad's bowling league.
Yeah, I'd be out of place in that one, but yeah. So Bert comes in this at this time holding a bowling ball in his hands. So Fingers goes up to him. He's like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "They're finally out of the house, so you could go and get the money," which would make sense. What are you doing, Bert?
Yeah, no, this whole thing is so dumb. Like he's not even thinking.
No.
And so he hands him the bowling ball and says, "It's a bomb. We gotta get rid of them. There can't be any witness." I'm like, what witnesses?
Yeah.
Like they didn't do it. They don't even know anything that's going on. Like, what does killing them do? Not that they could kill them, but still.
Let's kill everyone in this bowling alley to get a little bit of money. This escalated so much.
So fast. I was just like, damn. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So Bert sneaks around the opposing team, puts the ball down right in front of Herman. Herman's staring at him as he's doing it.
Was he? I thought Herman was off to the side. Herman was off to the side. He didn't see him do it.
No, I thought someone was standing right there.
It was the guy across from him watched the guy do it on the other team. Yeah.
So yeah, Wolfgang tells the family, he's like, I gotta take off. I'm like, but it's your turn. You can't leave us like this. He's like, no, look, Herman can take my turn. I have to go. I'm sorry. And Eddie's like, no, you can't leave. Don't you care?
Yeah.
And Wolfgang, he looks even with the mask on, he looks so upset by this. He's like, no, I just have to go. And he heads towards the emergency exit and just stops at it because he can't bring himself to do it.
Yeah.
So he comes back. It's like, all right, let's win this. Herman has decided, I'm going to do the winning bowl anyway, and grabs the bomb. He's like, no, give it to me. Yeah, so they're fighting. And in the process, Herman throws it and it blows up. Not big enough to destroy the building, but enough to destroy the pins. And Herman's going to count that as a win. I don't think it is.
Well, according to the next scene, it is, because they walk into the door with the trophy.
That would be a disqualification. You destroyed the bowling alley.
All right, so they get back to the house and they're creeping on in.
The doors are just wide open.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And
the
Lily's
doors are open.
Something's not right.
And then they see
something's off.
The other dude in the house.
Well, the Raven yells first.
And the guy's
like, help! Robbery!
Yeah. He's just the guy when they confront him, they're like, "Who are you? You're not supposed to be here." Like, he's just nonchalantly, just like, "Yeah, I'm here. Why don't you ask him over there?"
I'm sorry. The line with Herman that.
What's that?
Because they're like, "Well, that's what's not right. There's a stranger in our living room." Thanks, Captain Obvious. But yeah, he's talking to ask Wolfgang there.
Yeah, and he looks up and he's just like, crap. And Herman's just with his finger, like, "Come here, I gotta ask you something." and so nicely too. He's just like, "Who's this guy? Who's this dude?"
Yeah. So Fingers finally comes clean. He takes his mask off, which horrifies everyone in the family.
It does. Like Eddie gets a super scared look on his face.
He's look, me and my brother, we rob banks. And Herman's like, but we're not a bank. He's like, we robbed a bank and hid money here in your clock years ago.
Yeah.
And they're very mad at him. Like each one in turn, starting with Eddie, like turns away from like, But
Yeah.
Lily, she doesn't do that. She's like, look, if you needed money, we would have loaned it to you, which no, he didn't need money, Lily. He hid his money, no, the bank's money in your house. What are you talking?
Right. And
But,
they go on about it, yeah. And
yeah,
he's like, yeah,
look,
well, I know.
I know that. I've seen what a loving family you all are. And I'm ashamed and I'm worthless. And Bert says, you'll be less than worthless if we don't get that money already.
And he's like, I was even gonna blow you up at the
Yeah.
bowling alley. And she's like, yeah, but you didn't.
Because you care.
Because you actually care.
And that's very noble of you. But Bert says he hasn't done anything noble, so he's going to take the money and leave. Yeah. And Herman rushes up, takes the money out of his hand, and holds it up above his head like an elementary school bully had a growth spurt.
And it's only a stack of bills, too. Like,
yeah,
that's not how much they say later. That's not how much there is. There's no way that one stack is that much.
No. And yeah, Bert's like, give me my money back. And Herman's like, no, it's the bank's money. That's how our family sees it. And again, starting in turn with Eddie, they start going, right. And it gets the fingers and he stands by them and goes, right.
Yeah.
Bert tries to just leave, but Grandpa like stops him, throws his cape up and hisses at him.
It scares the shit out of him.
Yeah, he does.
And he runs out the front door.
Yeah, which good choice. Don't stand your ground and fight Grandpa. As Myke has continually mentioned, there are bodies in his lab.
Oh, and then after he leaves, Fingers gives back all the stuff that he stole from them as well, one at a time.
Loading stuff from his pocket, and he hands it to Herman, and Herman's like confused, hands it to Grandpa, and Grandpa's like, "You son of a bitch." But Lily just smiled at him, and I believe at this moment we can say that he has officially become part of the family.
Yeah.
And so now we cut to our last scene. Eddie is laying on the couch as Lily talks to him from behind it, and Grandpa is just in his favorite chair. Herman walks in asking them to guess who's home. Lily's like, Herman. And he's like, why do you always guess correctly? They embrace, and he says, yeah, I get the bank took the money back, no problems. And they even gave me a reward. He holds up this tiny, tiny calendar.
A little piece of
paper. Yeah, for 12 grand. That's all you got?
12. I thought it was 2,500 or 25,000.
I believe it was 12.
Okay.
Yeah. But Herman's like, look, it's got all 12 calendars pointed on one side. And he begins reading the months as Grandpa begins to call him something. But Lily, and I loved this acting, she turns her head and just menacingly says, don't. And that right there reminded me of Rob Zombie's version, the Sherry Moon version of Lily.
Yeah.
And so, Herman's continuing to read the calendar. We freeze frame, and there's the episode. And I swear I heard 12,000, so I have that. 12,000 in 1989 is about 29.6 thousand in 2023, but you heard 25, you say?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, that would be about 61.6 thousand. So,
I can play it real quick. Here, let's see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see if we can do this. All right, be quiet, you.
Guess who's home? Herman.
Oh, you always guess.
How did it go at the bank, dear?
Great. They took back the money without any questions. They even gave me a reward.
Ooh, nasty Pop, count it out.
1 calendar.
You brought $25,000 back to the bank and all you got was that?
All
Got
right.
all 12 months printed on one side.
All right.
I thought you were stopping it right there.
So,
Yeah, it was 25 then. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's about that is just over halfway to 62,000
okay.
in today's money. So that's how much they were dealing with. So it makes sense why they really wanted to get it out of the clock.
Yeah.
So shall we move on to final thoughts?
Sure.
You start us off.
Ugh, why do I always have to start it off?
All right, I'll start
Yeah,
us
no,
off.
I enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed it. I like the aspect of adding more people interacting with the family. I do like that. Especially ones that aren't just automatically like the other bowling team, super scared and running away and all that crap. So I'm trying to see if there's anything I had specific in my notes at the end. Doesn't look like it. I do like that character of Wolfgang, like how they portrayed like his mannerisms and stuff like that too. Again, this is also coming off of like seeing Lester from Rob Zombie's film, because they have a lot of the same mannerisms, and I thought that it was a cool homage to the Lester character from the 60s show without bringing in Lester himself to do a completely different type of storyline type thing. Because, that's how it was like. Lester was always portrayed as like, I guess a lot of people look at Lester as like a con man or something too. So it was kind of interesting to show that this guy was also a con man in a way. But I never really thought of Lester as a con man. I just thought of him as a shitty business person, except for every once in a while something actually worked out for him.
Yeah.
That's all.
And
really
that's
is.
exactly what they call him too. He's bad with money.
Yeah. So I don't understand where the whole con man concept has come from with people with Lester. So yeah.
I guess he was a bit of a con man because he conned the Munsters out of their home in the Rob Zombie movie.
He didn't con them out. He just put it up for
His gambling debt.
Gambling debt, yeah.
But he had to trick them into signing it.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Okay. But no, overall for the episode, I liked this one. I enjoyed it, and I was more engaged with this episode than last week's episode for sure.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I liked this one. I thought the acting was fantastic. Fingers was such a great character, and the Wolfgang comparison to Lester was like, I was disappointed at first, I'll be honest, because I really thought we might get Lester making a reappearance. But I was happy at the end because the whole pretty much making him a part of their family instead of his real family who treat him like dirt. That is a really great message. And I think another episode that just shows the actual heart of this family.
Right. Yeah. Shows how open they are, how accepting they are of lots of different people, and how forgiving they can be as well at the same time. Yeah, definitely, man.
So this was a really good one. I did enjoy this one.
Yeah. Please let us know what you guys thought about this episode if you've checked it out. If you have not checked it out yet, please go over to themunstercast.com/watch the Munsters Today, and you can check it out. This was episode 22 of season 1, so you guys can follow along there again. I do recommend, if you have not been watching along, that you do, because it's awesome.
22.
Just try and do like one a week or so, like we have been doing. So
It's episode 22.
I said that.
Did you? Oh, I thought you said 21.
Episode 22 of season 1 is what I said.
Okay.
anything else that we have to dive on? I think we did most of the stuff at the top of the show. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the Munsters have been removed from Peacock by now. I haven't been paying attention, but
I'm not sure yet either. There is an Addams Family channel on Pluto, so I would assume that eventually we'll get a Munsters channel on there.
honestly, if they could just
The
turn that
original,
into
at
like
least.
a classic 60s channel to add Gilligan's Island and Lost in Space, that would be fantastic.
Well, that doesn't help with licensing. They get paid based off of licensing, bro. You're frozen. You just don't want to talk to me. Your cat's moving. I can tell you're not frozen. He's just ignoring me. But yeah, no, I think that because the production companies, the big guys, want that licensing fee, and you do a whole channel that way, you dedicate it all to that to see if it's even worth renewing the licensing later on. You know, what are they watching the most? They're watching this. They're watching this. They're watching this. So those are the licenses we'll renew, and we'll just keep them as channels by themselves. Because I do think there is.
Take a 60s channel.
I think there is a Gilligan's channel. I think. I'm not sure.
Combine them.
Fucking if Tosh.0 has his own channel, I'm sure that there's a Gilligan channel. I am waiting for a Murder She Wrote channel. You hear that, Pluto? I want Murder She Wrote channel so I can watch it along with Matlock. I'm becoming an old man.
Becoming.
I am already there.
So let us know what you thought of this episode, you know, in the comments, email, leave us a voice message on the website.
Mm-hmm. And join us next week for
The Howling, which
Howling.
is this going to be an Eddie-centric episode for the penultimate episode of season 1?
It's not the last episode, is it?
No, it's penultimate.
Oh, okay. 21, 22, 23, 24. I can't even pronounce the name for the 24th episode, so that'll be fun.
Eau de Munster, I believe.
Eau
Something
de
like that.
Munster.
Which sounds like a perfume thing, but we'll talk about that next week.
Awesome. Thanks you guys for joining us on this fabulous Munster Monday. I hope I was a little bit more energetic this week than last week. Please definitely do share us with everybody and email us if you want to get on the show or want to hook us up with somebody that could potentially be a good guest for the show. Definitely know them before you let us know. Don't just email us and be like, hey, get this person on.
We'd love to, but we need an in.
Hookup. It helps to have the hookup for sure. Thank you guys. And also, we forgot to say it last week, and we've been gone for so long, but also rest in peace, you know, Paul Rubin, Pee Wee Herman, you know, so yeah. There we go. That's all I got. Anything else, Tivis, for today? Your final words?
No.
I brought Tivis down. He's like, fuck, I'm never going to see a talking couch again.
The only I could think of is hopefully, because I mean, we're recording in advance now, so I have no idea what the current events are, but you know, hopefully the unions are closer to negotiating a deal that helps the actors and writers.
Yeah, just let AI do it all. Who cares anymore? It all looks like shit. Bring back Matlock. All right, guys. With that said, we will catch you next time as we take another stroll down 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father, or you can be black does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.